Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever walked into a room and felt the air shift, like something unspoken just snapped into place? Eyes follow you, whispers trail behind you, and suddenly, you're not just another face in the crowd. There's a glow about you, unexplainable, undeniable, almost dangerous. You don't chase attention, it chases you. Tonight, we're diving into that rare energy, that magnetic presence that turns ordinary moments into unforgettable impressions. This isn't luck, this isn't coincidence, this is power. And whether you realize it or not, you've already started becoming someone the world can't ignore. There's something about the way you walk into a space that can't be taught, rehearsed, or copied. Before a single word leaves your lips, before anyone knows your name or your story, something already announces you. It's subtle, almost invisible, yet impossible to ignore. People feel it before they understand it. It's in the way your shoulders carry certainty, in the way your eyes scan without seeking permission, in the quiet rhythm of your steps that don't rush to belong. Most people think presence is about appearance, about dressing sharp or speaking loud, but that's surface-level illusion. Real presence is deeper, heavier, almost like a force pressing against the room. Balant. You see, words can lie, but energy never does. The moment you enter, people instinctively read what you believe about yourself. Not what you say, not what you pretend, but what you truly hold inside. If there's doubt, it leaks. If there's fear, it echoes. But when there's certainty, when there's a silent understanding of your own worth, it spreads like wildfire. People may not clap, they may not even smile, but they notice. They always notice. It's the difference between someone being seen and someone being remembered. And here's the twist. The louder you try to be, the more you dilute that presence. True power doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't scream to be validated. It exists in a calm, controlled intensity that makes others curious. It makes them wonder, what is it about this person? That question alone is your advantage. Because once people start questioning your presence, they're already pulled into your orbit. Most people walk into rooms hoping to fit in, adjusting themselves to match the environment, shrinking or expanding based on who's watching, but your presence doesn't adapt like that. It defines the atmosphere instead of reacting to it. It sets the tone without asking permission. And that's where the shift happens. The moment you stop seeking approval is the moment your presence becomes undeniable. Because now you're not entering as a participant. You're entering as a force. Think about it. Why do some people command attention even in silence? Why do conversations pause even briefly when they appear? It's not coincidence. It's alignment. Their thoughts, their posture, their energy, all moving in one direction. There's no internal conflict. No hesitation pulling them apart. That alignment creates a signal, and everyone around picks it up, consciously or not. It's like a frequency only a few know how to tune into. And once you understand this, everything changes. You realize you don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to over-explain yourself or prove your worth through endless words. Your presence becomes your introduction. Your silence becomes your statement. Your energy becomes your identity. People start reacting differently, treating you differently, not because you demanded it, but because they feel something they can't quite explain. Blander. But here's the part most people miss. This isn't about pretending to be powerful. It's about becoming so certain of who you are that nothing external can shake it. It's built in the quiet moments, in the choices you make when no one is watching, in the way you carry yourself when there's nothing to gain. That's where real presence is forged. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows where discipline lives. No. And when you bring that into the world, into every room, every interaction, every glance, it speaks louder than any introduction ever could. Confidence isn't what most people think it is. It's not loud laughter, constant talking, or trying to dominate every room you step into. That's often insecurity wearing a mask, begging to be noticed. Real confidence is quieter, sharper, and far more unsettling. It doesn't need to prove anything because it already knows. It moves without hesitation, speaks without rushing, and pauses without fear of being forgotten. There's a calmness to it that makes others uneasy because they can't predict it or control it. Command. You've seen it before, even if you didn't realize it at the time. Someone walks in, says very little, yet somehow holds more weight than the loudest voice in the room. People listen more carefully, watch more closely, and react more intentionally. That's the power of unspoken confidence. It's not about commanding attention through noise, it's about drawing attention through presence. And the most interesting part is it's not forced, it's natural when someone is truly aligned within themselves. And unspoken confidence starts with self-trust, not the kind that appears only when things are going well, but the kind that remains steady even when everything feels uncertain. It's knowing you can handle whatever comes your way without panicking, without breaking your rhythm. When you have that level of trust in yourself, you don't feel the need to over-explain your decisions or justify your existence. You move with intention, and that intention speaks for you. There's also a certain discipline behind it. People often ignore this part because it's not glamorous. Unspoken confidence is built in silence, through consistency, through keeping promises to yourself when no one else is watching. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, you reinforce that inner belief. And over time, that belief becomes unshakable. It reflects in your posture, in your eye contact, in the way you carry even the smallest actions. Others can sense it, even if they don't understand where it's coming from. Moment. What makes this kind of confidence so powerful is that it removes the need for validation. When you're no longer seeking approval, your behavior changes completely. You stop performing for others and start operating from a place of authenticity. And authenticity has a strange effect on people. It makes them more attentive, more curious, sometimes even intimidated, because most people are used to filtering themselves, adjusting constantly to fit expectations. When they see someone who isn't doing that, it disrupts their pattern. Silence becomes one of your strongest tools, not the awkward kind of silence filled with doubt, but a controlled silence that shows you're comfortable in your own space. You don't rush to fill every gap in conversation. You allow moments to breathe. And in those moments, people lean in. They start to value what you say more because you're not saying everything. Your words carry weight because they are chosen, not spilled. There's also an emotional control that comes with unspoken confidence. You don't react impulsively to every situation. You observe, process, and respond with intention. This doesn't mean you're detached or cold. It means you're in control. And control, especially over your own emotions, is one of the rarest forms of strength. It creates stability, and people naturally gravitate towards stability in a world full of chaos. And over time, this quiet confidence begins to shape how others perceive you. You don't have to demand respect. It's given. You don't have to chase attention, it follows. And the more you embrace this approach, the less you feel the need to compete with anyone. Because you realize something important. Confidence isn't about being better than others. It's about being certain of yourself. People don't wait for you to speak before forming an impression. The moment you enter their space, something instinctive switches on inside them. It's fast, almost automatic, like a silent scan running in the background. They read your posture, your pace, your expression, the way you hold your silence. And within seconds, they decide how to feel about you. Whether to lean in, pull back, respect you, or overlook you. This isn't something they consciously plan. It's wired into human nature. Energy is understood long before words are processed. And what you carry internally doesn't stay hidden. It leaks through the smallest details. A slight hesitation in your step, a restless movement of your hands, eyes that search instead of settle. These things speak louder than any introduction you could give. On the other hand, when there's calm certainty within you, it shows just as clearly. Your movements become deliberate, your stillness becomes comfortable, and your presence becomes something people can't easily ignore. They may not know why, but they feel it immediately. This instant connection to your energy is powerful because it bypasses logic. People don't need evidence or explanations to react to you. They feel something first, and then their mind builds a story around that feeling. If your energy suggests confidence and control, they assume competence. If it suggests doubt or insecurity, they question your value before you even get a chance to show it. That's why energy becomes your first message, whether you intend it or not. There's also a mirror effect at play. People unconsciously reflect what they sense from you. If you carry tension, they feel tense around you. If you bring ease, they relax. If you radiate certainty, they begin to trust you more without needing a reason. This mirroring happens so quickly that most interactions are shaped before any meaningful conversation begins. You're not just being observed, you're influencing the emotional state of everyone around you in real time. And this influence doesn't come from trying harder. In fact, trying too hard often disrupts it. When you're overly focused on being liked, being impressive, or being accepted, your energy becomes scattered. It sends mixed signals. People pick up on that inconsistency even if they can't explain it. But when you're grounded, when you're not chasing reactions, your energy becomes clear and steady. That clarity is what people respond to. It's simple, direct, and easy to trust. Malia. Another reason people feel your energy instantly is because they're constantly comparing it to their own. If your presence is stronger, more composed, or more certain than theirs, it stands out immediately. It creates a contrast that draws attention. They become aware of you not because you demanded it, but because you feel different. And in a world where most people blend into each other, being different, even quietly, makes you unforgettable. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. In fact, perfection can feel artificial. What matters is authenticity. When your energy matches who you truly are, there's no friction, no internal conflict. That alignment creates a natural flow that others can sense. It feels real. And people are always drawn to what feels real. Even if they don't fully understand it, they recognize it on a deeper level. And over time, as you become more aware of this, you start to realize how much control you actually have. Not control over others, but over what you project into the world. By working on your inner state, your thoughts, your discipline, your self-perception, you reshape the energy you carry. And once that shifts, the way people respond to you shifts as well. Conversations become easier, interactions feel smoother, and attention comes without effort. So, why? You stop relying on words to create impact because you understand that the real impact is already happening before you speak. Attention is easy to get, but difficult to control. Most people can attract a glance, a reaction, even a moment of curiosity, but very few know what to do with it once it arrives. They either waste it by trying too hard to impress or lose it by shrinking under the pressure. That's where the real shift happens, when you stop chasing attention for validation and start using it as a tool for influence, because attention, when directed properly, becomes power. When people notice you, they are offering you something valuable. Their focus, and focus is limited. In a world filled with distractions, getting someone's attention means you've already crossed the hardest barrier. But keeping it, shaping it, and turning it into something meaningful requires intention. It requires control over yourself first. Because if you can't manage your own energy, your own emotions, your own reactions, then the attention you receive will control you. Instead, influence begins the moment you decide not to react impulsively. When eyes turn toward you, there's a natural urge to perform, to fill the silence, to prove why you deserve that attention. But that reaction often weakens your position. It makes you predictable. Instead, when you stay composed, when you allow that attention to exist without immediately responding to it, you create space. And in that space, curiosity grows. People start leaning in not because you demanded it, but because you didn't. Mind. There's a subtle art to guiding attention without forcing it. It's in the way you speak, measured, intentional, never rushed. It's in the way you pause, letting your words settle instead of overwhelming the moment. It's in the way your body remains relaxed, showing that you're not affected by the pressure of being observed. These small details send a powerful message. You're not here to impress, you're here to express. And that difference changes everything. Once attention is steady, influence takes shape through consistency. People watch what you do more than what you say. If your actions align with your energy, if your behavior matches the quiet confidence you project, then trust begins to form. And trust is the foundation of influence. Without it, attention fades quickly. With it, your presence starts to carry weight beyond the moment. Another important element is emotional control. Attention often brings expectations, sometimes even pressure. People may test you, challenge you, or try to disrupt your composure. In those moments, your reaction determines your level of influence. If you respond with frustration or insecurity, you lose control of the narrative. But if you remain steady, if you respond with clarity and calmness, you reinforce your position. You show that your presence isn't fragile, it's stable. Influence also grows when you stop trying to be liked by everyone. This might feel counterintuitive, but it's essential. When you try to please everyone, your message becomes diluted. You lose clarity, and with it, your impact. But when you stand firm in who you are, when you accept that not everyone will agree or resonate with you, your influence becomes sharper. It attracts the right people and naturally filters out the rest. Blind over time. This approach transforms how people interact with you. They don't just notice you. They listen. They don't just observe you. They consider you. Your words carry more weight because they come from a place of intention, not desperation. Your silence becomes just as powerful as your speech because it's filled with presence, not uncertainty. Chance. You begin to realize that influence isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself so completely that your presence naturally shapes the environment around you. There's a fine line between owning your glow. There's a fine line between owning your glow and chasing approval, and most people don't even realize when they've crossed it. They start with something real, confidence, self-belief, a sense of identity, but slowly, almost unconsciously, they begin to adjust it based on reactions. A compliment makes them amplify it. A criticism makes them shrink it. Over time, their glow is no longer theirs. It becomes a reflection of what others accept. And the moment that happens, it loses its power. Wanting your glow means standing in your energy without asking for permission. It means recognizing that what makes you stand out isn't something you need to justify or explain. It's yours. It exists whether people applaud it or question it. The mistake most people make is tying their sense of worth to how others respond. They wait for validation to confirm what they already feel, and in doing so, they hand over control of their identity. And true ownership starts when you break that pattern, when you stop checking faces for approval, when you stop measuring your value based on reactions. It's not about ignoring people completely. It's about not depending on them to feel whole. Because the moment you depend on external validation, you become predictable. Your energy starts shifting based on feedback, and people can sense that inconsistency. There's a certain calm that comes with not needing approval. You move differently. You speak differently. You don't rush to impress or over-explain yourself. Your actions become more deliberate, your words more precise. And interestingly, that's when people start noticing you more. Not because you tried harder, but because you stopped trying in the wrong way. You remove the noise, and what's left is clarity. Owning your glow also means accepting that not everyone will understand you, and being completely okay with that. In fact, the more unique your energy is, the more it will confuse some people. They might question it, misinterpret it, or even resist it. But that's not a sign to tone it down. That's a sign that you're not blending into the background. Trying to be universally accepted is one of the fastest ways to lose what makes you stand out. And there's strength in being misunderstood by the wrong people while being recognized by the right ones. And that recognition doesn't come from forcing your identity onto others. It comes from consistently being yourself without distortion. Over time, people who resonate with your energy will naturally align with you. They'll see what others missed, feel what others couldn't, and that connection will be genuine. Another important part of owning your glow is internal validation. This is where most of the work happens. It's in how you talk to yourself, how you handle your own doubts, how you respond to your own mistakes. If you can respect yourself in private, you won't need constant reassurance in public. That inner respect creates a foundation that doesn't shake easily. It keeps your energy steady regardless of what's happening around you. You also learn to separate feedback from identity. Not every opinion deserves to. Some feedback can help you grow, but it should never redefine who you are at your core. When you understand this, you can listen without absorbing everything. You can adjust without losing yourself. That balance is what keeps your glow authentic instead of performative. And over time, this approach builds a quiet kind of confidence. You're not trying to prove anything anymore. You're not seeking attention, yet it comes. You're not demanding respect, yet it's given. And the reason is simple. You've stopped negotiating your worth with the world and started owning it completely. Being unforgettable isn't about being the loudest person in the room or doing something extreme just to stand out. That kind of attention fades quickly. Real impact lingers. It stays in people's minds long after you've left, not because you demanded it, but because something about you felt different, clear, grounded, and real. Most people are forgotten because they blend into expectations, adjusting themselves to fit every environment. But when you stop blending and start embodying who you are consistently, you create a presence that people can't easily replace. Manjid, everywhere you go becomes an opportunity, not to perform, but to express a stable identity. Whether it's a small interaction or a crowded space, your energy remains the same. You're not switching personalities depending on who's watching. That consistency is rare, and rarity naturally draws attention. People begin to recognize you, not just visually, but energetically. They remember how you made them feel calm, curious, maybe even slightly challenged. And that emotional imprint is what makes you unforgettable. There's also a level of awareness involved. You start noticing details that others ignore. The tone of conversations, the shifts in energy, the subtle reactions people have. This awareness allows you to respond with precision instead of reacting randomly. When you speak, it feels intentional. When you listen, it feels genuine. And in a world where most interactions are rushed and distracted, that level of presence stands out immediately. Being unforgettable also means valuing quality over quantity. You don't need to say everything to everyone. You don't need to be everywhere all the time. Instead, you choose your moments carefully. When you engage, you're fully there. When you speak, it carries meaning. This selective approach creates a sense of depth. People don't feel like they're experiencing a surface-level version of you. They feel something more real, more grounded. And that depth is what stays with them. Another key element is emotional control. Situations will change. People will act unpredictably, and not everything will go your way. But the way you handle those moments defines how you're remembered. If you remain composed under pressure, if you respond instead of react, you create a sense of stability that people respect. It shows that your presence isn't dependent on perfect conditions. It's consistent, regardless of the environment. And Benz, you also begin to understand the power of subtlety. Not everything needs to be exaggerated to be impactful. A calm response can carry more weight than an emotional outburst. A brief statement can be more memorable than a long explanation. Even silence, when used correctly, can leave a stronger impression than words. This restraint creates intrigue. It makes people pay closer attention because they know you're not speaking just to fill space. Slang, over time, your identity becomes clear, not just to others, but to yourself. You know how you move, how you think, how you respond. That clarity removes hesitation. You don't second-guess every action or overanalyze every interaction. You trust your rhythm, and that trust shows. It creates a natural flow that people find hard to ignore. And perhaps the most important part is that you're not trying to be unforgettable. You're simply being consistent, intentional, and real. Ironically, that's what makes you stand out the most. When others are trying to impress, you're grounded. When others are chasing attention, you're focused. That contrast alone is enough to leave a lasting mark. Palm. Eventually, people don't just remember seeing you, they remember experiencing you,